to show you how I come up with my budget for the year. So I came up with a spreadsheet because I was a bit sick of having to get out a piece of paper and you go, okay, my power bill, I pay that quarterly. So here's my amount for that, times by 4, that'll give me the annual amount. Now if I work that back to a monthly rate, that's how much that one will cost. Then I have another bill that's paid monthly, something else that's paid weekly, and just stuff that's, no bills are ever paid at the same frequency. So I wanted something where I could just get an Excel spreadsheet that would calculate all of that, so I can see, okay, this is how much I need to set aside each week, month, quarter, and each year to pay all of my expenses. And then all of this, which I'll show you in a sec, feeds through to my budgeting spreadsheets. So when I set this up, I import my totals. So for example, my total monthly forecast value for health in here, I'll make it red, and then once I have the actual for that month, I'll enter that in and make it grey. So I kind of use this to forecast with the numbers from this calculator feeding through, and then I put in my actuals as the year goes on, and then at the end of the year I can see my totals, and then all of that will again feed back into my initial budget calculator. So I only need to do this once, and then each year I've just gone and updated it based on the actual data that I've got from my spreadsheet. If you want to know more about this one, I won't go into too much more detail. I'll include a link down below, because for this video I just want to focus on the budget calculator. So this one I set up with a whole bunch of formulas because, like I mentioned earlier, it just takes way too long to type things into a calculator, and then you're probably going to input into a spreadsheet anyway, so it just makes sense to have it all on the computer already. So the blank template looks like this, and I have it all set up with formulas. So all you need to do is just input your numbers in the blue cells. So, put in your annual salary. If you are maybe a contractor or a casual worker, just estimate. You can always change this later. It's just to give you an idea of how much money, maybe if you want to save up for a car, how much you can afford, and also just to forecast out for each of your months. That's really why I designed this spreadsheet. So I've got in here 2 income options. So if you want to do this budget with your partner, you don't want to just have your own finances separate. If you want to keep them together, you can use this spreadsheet as well, and all of the formulas will automatically calculate it for you. So I may as well just show you the example that I did in here, because I think it's a bit easier to see it with actual numbers rather than just looking at a blank spreadsheet. So I've entered in a hypothetical 2 incomes for 2 different people. So we can see this is the amount they get annually, or they're expecting to, and then quarterly, monthly, fortnightly, and then weekly. So however you want to budget, I prefer to do it monthly. If you wanted to do it fortnightly, you can do it because it already will calculate it for you. In here, I've included a whole bunch of expenses. They're the same ones as my budgeting spreadsheet over here, so it should all feed through. Now I know that some things won't be paid weekly. That's the whole point of it, so you can just delete out any that aren't applicable. So maybe you don't have any weekly subscriptions, just click on that row, right click and go delete, and then you won't see that anymore. It's not going to mess up any formulas, it's fine to delete it. Or you could just Control Z, undo that, and then type whatever you want. So type your, type your own category there, whatever you want to put. If you need more categories, you can insert a row. So if you go right click and then go insert, just make sure that you copy down the formulas. So left click and drag across, and then you'll see that little plus sign cross thing, drag it down, and that'll make sure that all of your numbers get incorporated into your total down here. So if I just show you, for example, let's say you reckon you're going to spend 20 bucks a month, 20 bucks a week on clothes. You can see how much that works out to per fortnight, month, quarter, annually, etc. And then all of that will flow through. I'll just chuck some money against this so you can see. And then that will flow through all the way down here. You would repeat the same with the weekly, like I did for fortnightly, monthly, and quarterly, deleting out any that aren't applicable to you. And you can come down the bottom here and you can see this is how much you have left. So your income less all of your expenses, this is how much you've got. So you can use this money now to service your debts or your savings, or your savings goals or your emergency savings that you want to put away. So Just like we did with weekly, you'd enter it in fortnightly. So if you pay your rent fortnightly, maybe you pay like 300, whatever it is. And again, all of those formulas will flow through as well. So because we've already got housing on fortnightly, I would then go and delete that off of monthly and then also off quarterly, just to declutter a bit. So then it ends up being like this, where it's a lot more simplified. So you can see that I've got, groceries only appears in weekly. I don't have it duplicated, because if you keep all those categories, like groceries, against all of these, payment frequencies, you could call it, you're going to start duplicating things. So just enter it in for whatever you do. I do my groceries weekly, maybe you go fortnightly, enter it in there, delete it, all the other ones from against those payment frequencies, and then it will be all nice and neat and calculate it all for you. So if we scroll down here, you can see these are my total expenses. This is how much I've got left. So hypothetically, let's say you've got some student loans and you've got to pay your taxes. So then you have $7,000 left, which you can put towards your savings goals, which I've just put a few examples in here. And then if you have anything left over, you can put that to your emergency savings account. And I've also added in a little percentage function in here, so we can see that of your total income, you're going to be putting about 2.5% to your emergency savings account. Some people say you should probably put aside like 5%, but I figure you might already have some, like emergency savings in there already. So this is, the intention I think behind this and why I did it is just for myself, just to see that I am putting some money against emergency savings. It's just kind of like another reminder, and then also maybe, cut back on your savings goals. Maybe you can't afford that. So anyway, I personally find it helpful. If you don't want to, you can just ignore that section, up to you. So this is what the fresh template looks like. Just input anything in the light blue and it'll automatically spit out those values for you, like I showed in this one here. And if you get stuck, you can always come back and have a look at this video, but it really is just as simple as typing in the blue shaded cells. There's also some instructions in here too, again, and then while I just think of it, I have put a few examples of some expenses in here, but I have actually done up a list of 50 expenses that people would typically pay. I know they're ones that I typically pay, and I've got that as a printable, which you can download for free from my blog, which I'll include the link down below if you want to download it, just to make sure that you cover everything. You don't want to leave anything out, so make sure you've got all of your expenses incorporated into here, because it's really important that you obviously don't forget anything, because you don't want to, find out that you have gone ahead and booked a holiday for $5,000 or whatever, but actually you didn't have enough money for that. Now you need to use credit cards, etc. So yeah, make sure that you cover all of your expenses in here, and then go to your spreadsheet for your budgeting. Enter them all in. I color them in red font, like red here, red text. And then as the year progresses, you can change it to your actuals and see if you're ahead of schedule or maybe behind schedule, because this spreadsheet will have all the automatic formulas as well. And I kept the formatting the same, so we've got the nice blue and the grey thing, very simple, and that's the same with the budget calculator as well. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any other questions, just include them down below in the comments and I'll reply. I'll also include a link to where you can download the calculator from my shop. That link will be down below, along with that list of 50 expenses. And if you want to, you can just refer to that 50 expenses and use it with the printable budget. If you decide maybe this is not the right option for you, you can use that with any type of budgeting system, not just specific to a budget calculator. It's just a generic list of about 50 expenses that you'll probably pay at some point, to make sure you don't miss anything out when you do your budgeting for the new financial year.